my name is Orion Kate Manyala, your teacher in Practical Research 1. Please get your module so that you will be guided in our discussion. Before proceeding, it is necessary to define the terms that will be used in this chapter and to differentiate them from one another. Method is a technique which the researcher uses to gather and generate data about the subjects of their study. Methodology is the section of the research paper which explains why the researcher chose to use particular methods. The methodology also includes descriptions of any and all theoretical and/or ideological concepts informing and influencing the course of the study and the researcher's rationale behind adhering to those concepts. Research design is a plan which structures a study to ensure that the data collected and generated will contain the information needed to answer the initial inquiry as fully and clearly as possible. As the qualitative approach to research focuses less on hard, numerical data and more on abstract information, the methods used to collect and generate data for qualitative research should be designed to be descriptive, observational, conceptual, and analytical. Some of the most commonly used data collection methods in qualitative research are individual interviews, group interviews, observations, and surveys. Here are the main methods used in qualitative research. Individual interviews are like conversations which are designed to elicit the information that the researcher needs. However, unlike casual, everyday conversations, interviews must be conducted as rigorously, systematically, and transparently as possible to ensure the reliability and validity of the information obtained. Group interviews are conducted with several participants simultaneously and may be more appropriate in some cases, such as when the study concerns a community issue or shared experience. Observations are conducted to document and analyze behavior and social phenomena as they occur in their natural context and may be useful in identifying, for example, discrepancies between what people say and what they do. Although surveys and questionnaires are more often used in quantitative research, they may also be designed to be applicable to qualitative studies. Doing so requires that the questions be structured to be open-ended with few to no restrictions on the respondents' answers, resembling an interview but in written form. As stated, the objective of a research design is to ensure that the data collection and generation methods are geared towards gathering the specific information which will help answer the initial inquiry as clearly and fully as possible. If the researcher does not design their study carefully and appropriately, the data they gather may be extraneous or irrelevant to the problem at hand, and they might be not able to adequately answer the research problem. As a result, the study may prove weak or inconclusive. It must be asserted then that there is no single best way to conduct research design, nor is there a universally applicable research design, only general approaches which the researcher will, to varying extents, have to modify and adjust to best suit their study. The following are some of the more common research designs used in qualitative research. Phenomenological design. This design is anchored on obtaining descriptions of the respondents' meaningful experiences on various encounters in either writing or interview, as stated by Cristobal and De La Cruz Cristobal 2017. To wholly understand the subject's experiences, the researcher must set aside their own feelings and expectations towards the study. Those feelings and expectations may hinder the researcher from seeing the experience through the subject's perspective. This process is called bracketing. For example, what are the experiences of a student who failed in his or her subject? The researcher may have their own notions regarding this problem due to first-hand or second-hand experience. During the data collection, the researcher must put aside all the assumptions in order to identify the real essence of the answers of the participants. Historical design. This design looks into the identification, evaluation, location, and synthesis of data or evidence from historical events or past as to confirm or reject hypothesis, stated by Cristobal and de la Cruz Cristobal 2017. Historical study must be unobtrusive, meaning that the process of research must not involve any interventions which will affect the results of the study. This also means that there's no way to manipulate the factors of the study for different variables or contexts. On the other hand, this non-invasive approach is well suited for archival purposes, such that sources of historical data may be stored accurately and consistently, and be accessed and used over and over to study various research problems. When material provides first-hand information, then it is considered as primary source. Examples are oral histories, written records, diaries, eyewitnesses' accounts, pictures, videos, and other physical evidence. The minutes of meetings can be considered primary sources. Secondary sources are materials containing second-hand information, such as when a person reinterprets information from the original source or commentary on and analysis of an original document. When the minutes of historical meetings are summarized and transferred to a different medium, they are now considered secondary sources. The most valuable criterion for historical data sources is authenticity, and any source to be used for historical research must undergo internal and external criticism. External criticism is based on the analysis of the printed material, the ink, and the type of paper used, the layout and physical appearance, as well as its age and texture. Carbon dating is useful in determining the age of substances in objects such as paper. Internal criticism involves establishing the authenticity and originality of the materials by looking at the consistency of information. Motives and possible biases of the author must be considered in trying to determine the accuracy of the materials. Case study design. It looks into the case of a person, event, phenomena, or an event in a particular set of time, stated by Carey, Naval, and Prieto 2017. This can be cases of people who have undergone rehabilitation, who have eating disorders, who became successful through hard work, and many other possible topics that deal with the specific events and phenomena. A case study is a comprehensive, in-depth examination of a specific individual, group of people, or institution. It may be used to gain insights into an obscure or specific problem, provide background data for broader studies, or explain social, psychological, and social-cultural processes. The data from case studies is evaluated through content analysis. It involves the examination of communication messages. Care must be exercised in selecting subjects for case studies. The researcher should avoid choosing only those participants who are expected to respond favorably or unfavorably to the instrument. Grounded theory. This design looks into the understanding patterns from the codes taken that turns out to be general interpretation, stated by Carey, Naval, and Prieto 2017. Grounded theory is a systematic research approach developed by two sociologists, Barney Glaser and Armstrong Strauss, in which rigorous procedures such as open coding, identifying, naming, categorizing, and describing phenomena encountered in the study, as well as their characteristics, are used to collect data, analyze the data, and formulate a theory on the matter at hand. This theory can be used to explain, provide a perspective on, or even predict behavior in and of the particular context of the study subject. The grounded theory method uses both an inductive and a deductive approach to theory development. According to Field and Morse 1985, constructs and concepts that are grounded in the data and hypotheses are tested as they arise from the research. In a deductive crowded theory, a theory is formulated, then the collection of data follows. In an inductive approach, collection of data is conducted first, and then through the analysis of this data, the synthesized form is the theory itself. Action research. This includes the process of determining the problem in a particular setting like company, school, and other settings, and coming up with a strategy to solve the problem, implementing the developed strategy, and analyzing the results until the problem is either solved or fully understood, stated by Cristobal and de la Cruz Cristobal 2017. Action research is a design which involves a cycle of identifying a problem regarding a situation or process, developing a strategy for intervention with the purpose of improving said situation or process, implementing said intervention, and observing and analyzing the results until a sufficient level of understanding of the problem is achieved. Generalizing the findings is not the goal of this study, as in the case of quantitative research studies. In action research, the implementation of solutions occurs as an actual part of the research process. Participatory action research is a kind of community-based action research in which there is a collaboration between the respondents or participants and the researcher in all the steps of the study, including the determination of the problem, identification of the research methods to use, analysis of data, and deciding how the study results will be used. One can say that the participants and the researcher are co-researchers throughout the entire research study. Meta-analysis design. This design evaluates the multiple individual studies done on a common topic, not only intending to look into the results, but to understand the trend, pattern, as well as the understanding of a research problem, as stated by Cristobal and de la Cruz Cristobal 2017. This design may also be used to analyze discrepancies in the results of individual studies, and its own results have a bigger potential for generalization to a greater population. However, due to its own complexity, studies following such as design may prove difficult, expensive, and time-consuming. Here is the sample of research design. This study utilized the qualitative type of study, which according to Nias-Wadomi 2004, is a naturalistic method of inquiry of research, which deals with the issue of human complexity by exploring it directly. In this type, the emphasis is on the complexity of humans, their ability to shape and create their own experience, and the idea that truth is a composite of reality. This study utilizes the case study method. Case study method involves a comprehensive and extensive examination of a particular individual, group, or situation over a period of time. It provides information on where to draw conclusions about the impact of a significant event in person's life. Sanchez 2002. This design is fitted to this present study since the focus is on the psychological processes of a group of students who failed on their academic performance in physics, soliciting their personal views and perceptions relative to the queries given by a panel of interviewers during the third quarter of the school year 2013-2014.